Judas Iscariot is a name synonymous with betrayal, but what if his story is far more complex than we've been told? For centuries, his role in the events leading to the crucifixion of Jesus has been a source of mystery and speculation. Now, a recently unearthed ancient manuscript is shedding new light on his life and actions, a revelation that could challenge everything we thought we knew. This long-lost text, hidden for over 2,000 years, reveals a shocking narrative. Its contents could alter the way we understand one of history's most infamous figures. From the biblical account of the Last Supper to the events that culminated in Jesus' crucifixion, this manuscript offers a perspective that may leave you questioning the very fabric of history. For centuries, scholars were aware of the existence of a Gospel of Judas, a text that portrayed Judas in a very different light. Church Father Irenaeus wrote about this Gospel around 180 AD, claiming that it depicted Judas as possessing secret knowledge about Jesus that no one else had. According to Irenaeus, this Gospel suggested that Judas played a unique role in accomplishing the mystery of the betrayal, and that both earthly and heavenly realms were impacted by his actions. In 2006, National Geographic announced the discovery of a Gnostic text known as the Gospel of Judas. While there is no definitive proof that this text is the same one Irenaeus mentioned, it does portray an intriguing relationship between Jesus and Judas. This manuscript suggests that Judas had insights into who Jesus really was, insights that remain as controversial today as they were 2,000 years ago. Despite occasional media coverage, most people know little about the Gospel of Judas or its significance. What exactly does this ancient text reveal, and why is it so important? Let's explore its story. The discovery of the Gospel of Judas is a tale shrouded in mystery and incomplete documentation. In the 1970s, an Egyptian treasure hunter unearthed the text in the Minya province of Egypt, roughly 120 miles south of Cairo. Hidden in a cave, he found a limestone box containing several ancient documents, including the codex that holds the Gospel of Judas. These texts were sold to a Cairo antiquities dealer named Hannah Abel, who attempted to sell the codex for an astronomical $3 million. However, he struggled to find a buyer. In 1984, he smuggled the text into the United States, storing it in a safe deposit box in Long Island. Unfortunately, this decision proved disastrous. Unlike Egypt's dry climate, New York's humidity caused the codex to deteriorate over 16 years, leaving it severely damaged. In 2000, antiquities dealer Frieda Nussberger Chakos acquired the text and passed it on to professional manuscript conservators. By this point, the Gospel had suffered significant damage, with scholars estimating that 10 to 15% of its content was lost. After 3 decades of mishandling and neglect, the Gospel's fragile state highlights the challenges of preserving ancient artifacts. In 2006, National Geographic secured the rights to publish the codex, unveiling photographs and a translation of the Gospel of Judas for the world to see. This marked the first time scholars could closely examine what is considered one of the most significant discoveries in early Christian history. The codex, known as Codex Chakos, measures approximately 16 by 29 centimeters and originally contained 4 texts: the letter of Peter to Philip, the first Apocalypse of James, the Book of Allergenes, and the Gospel of Judas. Written in Sahidic Coptic, an ancient Egyptian language used during the late Roman period in Egypt, the codex is similar to many other early Christian texts. Radiocarbon dating places it in the 3rd or 4th century. If this is the same Gospel Irenaeus referenced in the 2nd century, then it could be a 3 RD century copy of a 2 end century text, possibly dating back to around 150 CE. This makes it notably early for a non-canonical Gospel. It is essential to clarify that Judas Iscariot, the disciple and betrayer of Jesus in the New Testament, did not author this text. The Gospel of Judas dates to at least 150 CE, a century after Jesus and his disciples lived. Nor does the text reveal anything about the historical Jesus. Instead, it reflects the theological ideas and debates of 2nd and 3rd AD century Christians. While the New Testament Gospels portray Judas as betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver and later returning the money out of guilt before taking his own life, this Gospel offers a different perspective. The Gospel of Judas presents itself as a series of dialogues between Jesus and his disciples, interspersed with more personal conversations between Jesus and Judas. The text delves into spiritual truths and discussions about the creation of the universe. It is divided into 3 sections: the portrayal of the 12 disciples, mythology and theology, and the portrayal of Judas. The Gospel begins with an interaction between Jesus and his disciples, presenting the 12 in an unfavorable light. The disciples are shown worshipping together, possibly practicing the Eucharist, when Jesus approaches them, laughing. Perplexed, the disciples ask why he is laughing and insist they are performing their prayer correctly. Jesus responds, "I am not laughing at you. You do not do this by your own will, but by this your God will be worshipped." This shocking statement suggests that they are worshipping the wrong God. When the disciples ask, "Teacher, are you not the Son of our God?" Jesus replies, "Truly I tell you, no generation will know me from the people who are among you." This stern rebuke sets the tone for how the Gospel depicts the 12 disciples: angry, ignorant and confused men who misunderstand Jesus and even blaspheme against him. This portrayal reflects the fragmented state of Christianity in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, a time when there was no unified doctrine or orthodoxy. The text's critical tone towards the disciples aligns with the theological tensions of the period, offering a unique lens into early Christian thought and the diversity of beliefs that existed at the time. In early Christianity, different groups claimed authority from the apostles, and critiquing the disciples in texts like the Gospel of Judas could serve to undermine their legitimacy. However, in this Gospel, Judas stands apart. Unlike the other disciples, he alone grasps the true nature of Jesus. Judas proclaims, "I know who you are and whence you have come. You have come from the immortal realm of Barbello, and he who sent you. I am not worthy to proclaim his name." To understand this, it's helpful to examine Sethian Gnostic theology. Scholars often classify the Gospel of Judas as a Sethian or Gnostic text, terms used to group writings with shared themes, such as the Apocalypse of Adam and the Apocryphon of John. Sethian mythology reinterprets Genesis, claiming the world was not created by a supreme god, but by a lesser malevolent being called Yaldabaoth, or Saklas. According to this belief, the true God is unknowable, existing beyond the material world, and emanates celestial beings like Barbello. Judas recognizes Jesus as originating from this higher spiritual realm, unlike the other disciples, who mistakenly associate him with Saklas, the flawed creator god. Later in the Gospel, Jesus reveals the creation myth to Judas, explaining that Saklas and his angels created Adam and Eve. This account mirrors Genesis but portrays humanity's creation as the work of a corrupt, lesser deity. This inversion of the biblical story is central to Gnostic theology. Judas's unique role stems from his understanding of Jesus's true origin and mission, setting him apart from the other disciples. Initially, some scholars, including those involved in the National Geographic translation, interpreted the Gospel as portraying Judas in a highly favorable light, even as Jesus's closest disciple. However, this view has been contested. For instance, Jesus refers to Judas as a 13th demon, a term that could denote a neutral spirit or an evil being. Scholar April DeConnick argues that this title connects Judas to Saklas, the creator god, suggesting Judas might represent an earthly counterpart to this malevolent figure. This ambiguity has sparked debate about whether Judas is depicted positively or negatively in the text. What is clear is that the Gospel of Judas offers a fascinating insight into the theological diversity of early Christianity. It reflects a time when interpretations of God and creation were still evolving. By challenging traditional views of Judas and the disciples, This gospel sheds light on the complexities of Christian thought in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. Thank you for exploring this with me, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into ancient texts.